Her hair was long, and her eyes were oh so blue. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dad's Den of the Pop Culture. What do we got in store today? Oh, all sorts of stuff. Actually, quite a lot of things. Because it's like Toy Fair is going on. And that means there's just a lot of toys, collectibles, that are kind of popping up out there. A few comic books, a few other little stories to chat about. Basically, a decent way to waste an hour or so on a lazy Sunday, which is what I go for. Wasting time is really the goal of my entire channel. Lady Gwendolyn says she sees me. It's good to be seen. So that's very groovy. Oh, yep. And there's the stream. I like to check it too sometimes. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So let's jump in. Hey, let's jump in right off the bat. Ramey Butler tells me that he's going to be a great uncle. His nephew is going to be a dad. That is very, very cool stuff. Kids are good, man. Kids are good. Kids can also be a pain in the butt, as we all know, but good to have kids. Good to keep things going. People you can share things with. People you can introduce all the weird crap that you enjoyed in your childhood to, and, see if you can keep it going for another generation or so. My daughter had to endure a lot, including HR puffin stuff. But, yeah, I know. And they do tend to be spoiled. Here's something to think about. This is not something I had planned, but like my job is in commercial real estate, right? So warehouses, office buildings, retail centers, all that kind of stuff. I'm a research guy, so I track all that stuff, kind of track the economy as well, all that good stuff. And it got me to thinking that one of the old, adages of investment is buy land. They're not making any more of it. All right. Which I guess is generally true, I guess, unless we start flitting off to other planets and terraforming them. But I think we have some time before that really starts happening. Now, the whole premise of that is based on the idea that they're not making more land, i.e. supply is static, but they are creating more demand for land because populations are generally always growing one way or another. That's been the way it's been going on planet Earth for probably, I don't know when the last bottleneck we had was, 350,000 years ago, 400,000 years ago, something like that. Increasing population. But now, planet-wide, we're heading into a period where we could see populations shrinking. So all of a sudden, demand for land, for buildings, for residences could actually start going down. Now, of course, there's always going to be buildings getting old, being torn down, etc. That happens. But we've actually seen what this looks like. If you look at Detroit, population moved sort of out of the city proper. And so you had all these buildings, all these old houses that they could not essentially give away. They put them up on auction and nobody wanted these houses, period. Now, houses, who cares? It's the land. You could just tear the houses down and you have large land parcels you could redevelop, but redevelop for who? There's no point. There's nobody here, right? Now imagine that's not just happening because of a migration of people somewhere or a city from Detroit. It happened partly because of the riots that had occurred in the 60s, I think, drove a lot of people out. Imagine it's happening like everywhere. And also imagine that all of a sudden you have a lot fewer kids than you have older people. Now, a lot of those older people are in debt, but imagine the ones who aren't, who start leaving all of their stuff, right? We're all leaving stuff to somebody. Okay, some of it's just going to get sold at garage sales or given to Goodwill. But, some things of value passing down. All of a sudden, you're going to be concentrating value in a smaller group of people. It's going to be really interesting over the next maybe 50 years to see how some of this stuff, goes. Now, we could also see populations start to increase, people suddenly having larger families. It's possible. But probably is not going to happen for, probably wouldn't see a swing upward for quite a few decades as a lot of people start aging out of things. But who knows? We'll have to see. But at any rate, there's a thought, but it's cool to have kids to be able to pass things on to, and maybe those kids will all be stinking rich with action figures someday, if they enjoy them. I see Mr. Sushi Hut has joined the chat. Hey, sir. What is cooking? I see Man of War 665, neighbor of the beast as well. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, I'm a long day. Yeah. Well, who knows, man? Maybe we're going to be living a lot longer. Who knows what kind of things will pop up? Because honestly, dude, I think Gen X needs to stick around for a while. I mean, we got a few screwballs, but I don't know, man. I think there needs to be some wisdom. We need to help some folks out because the social media stuff has made a lot of people kind of nuts. And I think folks who have a culture pre-social media, if we can stick around a little longer to explain to people no, you can actually have friends you disagree with on a whole lot of crap. You don't have to hate them or never speak to them again. No, you can actually do that. We did it all the time in the old days. We used to have fun arguing about crap and then, eating some chicken wings and moving on with life. It can be done. It's real. I swear it's real. I've seen it. But anyhow, cross-generation. Yeah, I agree. And we used to get a lot of, Mr. Sushi says we need more cross-gen interactions to ground younger generations. And hey, look, what it also does? It also grounds older generations, right? Because we get older, we got certain biases or certain things, and, we forget about stuff. People forget about childhood. Obviously, not me. I still remember a lot about childhood, but some people do forget. And it's good to have younger people around to sort of invigorate you and make you go, oh yeah, okay. I forgot how fun this stuff was, or I forgot the stuff that I went through. So maybe I need to not be as hard on people because I kind of forgot my own problems, my own, biases from when I was young. It's a good thing. We used to get so much more of that with larger families. I mean, I can remember a lot of stuff, going back east to visit family, and just a bunch of us get together and there's, the kids, and we're running around in the basement playing and stuff like that. And the adults are upstairs, and the adults are people from the baby boom generation and before the baby boom generation. But at some point you'd kind of cycle upstairs and you'd end up just sitting around with the older folks, listening to them tell stories about stuff, about their lives and all that kind of thing. And it was great. You learned a lot just sitting there with your mouth closed, listening to them tell about funny stuff that happened, or remember this, you remember that. And I think as you get smaller and smaller families, you don't get maybe quite as much of that. Now, my father was the youngest of 9 kids. And my mother, her family, she was one of 4 kids. So, I mean, the 9 kids, we did a family reunion one time. And I mean, that was a big group because all those 9 kids, well, I think almost all those 9 kids, all of them had kids of their own. Various sized families, not as large as that family, right? But anywhere from 1 to maybe 4 kids. So, and then at that point, some of them were old enough to be having kids as well. So it was a big group. That's less common nowadays, but it does help ground you. You need the different, it's one of the reasons reading literature is important. I read Anna Karenina because Norm Macdonald on Twitter used to say, it was the greatest book ever written. And I'm like, well, screw it. If Norm Macdonald says that, I'll check it out. I'll read it. And it's a very good book. And, but I'm reading some of the stuff towards the end and I'm going, wow, like Tolstoy's saying some stuff that has been occurring to me lately, like things I've been sort of observing and, figuring things out. And I think this might be true, and now I'm looking at somebody with a very different life. He lives a long time before me. He grows up wealthier than I was. He grows up in Russia as opposed to where I grew up. So we don't have a lot in common in that regard, but we're both observing the world around us and coming to similar conclusions. And you go, oh, well, maybe there is something to what I'm thinking. It's not just me. It's other people too. That, like, you need all those perspectives in life. And I don't think you get them if you're only looking at people your age making goofy videos on TikTok. Nothing wrong with watching some goofy videos on TikTok. But if that's the mass of what you consume, you're going to be missing out on a lot of things. You need other stuff, man, in life. It's good for you, right? It's good for you. You can't live on dessert. Ramey Butler says, my grandfather used to tell World War II stories. Yeah. One of my grandfathers passed away when I was very, very young. And I don't think he served in World War II. I think he was on the home front. He was in industry, and stuff. But my other grandfather was a doctor who was, joined the army. I mean, I think drafted, but towards the end of World War II. And he was a radiologist. And one of the things he did, he was assigned to essentially a MASH unit. I don't know if they called them that at that point, but like a, mobile sort of surgical hospital that cared for survivors of the Hiroshima bomb. And so he didn't talk a lot about it, but he told some stories, and some of it actually sounded like things that would happen on MASH. One of his stories was that they needed an X-ray machine where they were, and they didn't have one. And so he and some other doctors casually drove into, I'm guessing, Tokyo. I don't know what the next biggest city closest is. It could have been Tokyo. It could have been something else. They drove in and found a hospital, that was not overloaded with wounded people. And they helped themselves to an X-ray machine, which I assume was not a small thing at the time, but obviously it was something that could be moved. And they drove back to the, their camp with it, and were met by the military police, who said, "Yeah, that's got to go back. You can't do that." And I'm going, I could see like Hawkeye and Trapper John doing something like that on an episode of MASH. So he had some stories. And it's good to get those things in that personal level, I mean, to get those personal insights about history, for sure. Let's see, what else do we got here? Fun to get into discussions like this, isn't it? That I did not have remotely planned. Manor says there was a rampant disregard of experience and institutional knowledge that needs to be reversed for a lot of that. Yeah, it does. I think, though, one of the things that you get, though, is like a lot of science fiction will take a concept and push it as far as it could possibly go, right? And there's good insights in that, but things typically don't go as far as they could possibly go, at least with a mass population. With little segments of the population, it can and does, but it's good. It's a good insight into, like, if we keep going on this path, this is where we're going to end up. And we'll look at stuff now and say, yeah, they kind of got that right, even though what we're seeing is a subset of the population doing insane things, but maybe a larger subset than we're all comfortable with, right? Typically, people need things in their lives to sort of work, right? Just basic stuff. And if people are very dissatisfied with their lives, they will look for other things. And I think we're seeing more younger people kind of going, yeah, a lot of this stuff doesn't really work. It's kind of screwed up. Is there a better way? And fortunately, they don't have to look that far to find, you don't have to look that far to see what life looked like before the internet, right? Because we put that on film for a good 70 years of life before the internet. It's on film, and funny enough, you can find a lot of that stuff on the internet. So they could look at old shows and old movies. They're right there, and say, oh, look at how people act. Now, of course, they're shows and movies. It's not exactly real life, but it's close enough. And they can kind of go, okay, all right, there's something else. There's something different that I could do the way I do things. I don't have to be this way. There's something better than the internet out there. People lived without the internet. They survived without the internet. And I think it's good. I think it's like, it starts when you get into the mindset of it's a tool, right? Like, dude, I watch a lot of stuff on streaming. It's cool. I couldn't own all that stuff on DVD, not that easily. I don't have room for it. It'd be very expensive. It's very cool. But I'm only going to use streaming for what I can get out of it. I'm not going to let it dominate my life in an unhealthy way. Internet, social media, it's a tool. Okay. And Adam Carolla always said, if it's not making you money and it's not making you happy, like, get rid of it. Get rid of it. If the stuff's making you miserable, it should at least be making you money, right? I mean, that's like most of our jobs. It's not like, yay, I get to go to work. But that's how we make our money. So, yeah, okay, you do it. You got to do it. It doesn't mean you hate it, but you'd probably rather be at home, right? Likewise, there's stuff that don't make you any money. For example, what I'm doing right here does not make me any money whatsoever. It does. It costs me money, right? But it's making me happy. So I'm doing it. Now, maybe someday it will make me money. And then it'll make me money and make me happy. And maybe I'll grow so huge that it will make me a lot of money, but it actually doesn't make me that happy anymore. But at least it's making me a lot of money. But if the day comes we're doing this is like costing me money and I'm not happy doing it, then I'll stop doing it. What's the point? Does it make you money? Does it make you happy? If it isn't doing those things, and I think there's a lot of younger people who are looking at some of the stuff that is just sort of handed to them like, this is what you do in life. This is how things are. And they're going, well, it ain't making me money and it ain't making me happy. So to hell with it. I ain't going to do it. And they're moving on. I think we're starting to see that shift. Doesn't mean that's going to be everybody. Populations don't shift 100% one way or the other. I mean, they just don't. It's just not how it works. There is no activity that is so weird and seemingly unpleasant that there's not somebody on this planet who enjoys it. Because it's a big planet. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. You go, who would ever want to hit themselves in the head with a 2x4? There's somebody on planet Earth that gives them pleasure. I guarantee it. There's got to be, right? So people don't sway 100%, but I think a lot more people are going, okay, internet, great tool, but let's put it into its box. Here's what it's good for. Here's what it's not good for. And I'm going to go out and talk to people and go to the park. And, you see there are a lot more younger people going, maybe marriage actually and kids are not the worst thing in the world that I've been handed in a lot of shows. Maybe that's actually some good stuff. And they're exploring that. And that's good. It's good. People figure things out. Hey, Finns. All right. The show can now officially, which is actually funny because I haven't started any of my prepared stuff at this point. So in a way, the show hasn't started. Let's catch up on a few more things. Rami says, this is about his grandfather. Hated the Germans, but he drove a Volkswagen. Well, they made a good car for sure. And I can understand why people, who had to fight wars against folks, especially folks who kind of started it, held on to that hatred. It's not necessarily the best thing in the world for you, but it's certainly understandable. I don't really fault them for a lot of that. Mr. Sushi Hut says, Tolstoy is incredible, fascinating to read, and his writing style changed a lot over time, especially reading in Russian. I can't read in Russian, but I did read it in English. And Anna Karenina is an incredible novel. The whole opening stuff, you're going, this is incredible, and yet it doesn't feel incredible. It just feels like he's writing about a family in normal life. But in such a way that like it really resonated. I was amazed by that book. It was something else. Man of War says my mother's father was on Omaha Beach. Wow, was nearly drowned by his mortar gear when their Higgins boat got hit. We attended his World War II reunions till he passed in 98. That's incredible. I had an uncle, Joe Rock, and he was in fact a sergeant. So my uncle was really great uncle was Sergeant Rock. He was in the Seabees at one point or something like that. But construction crews working on little islands. And he talked a little bit about it. He said it was eerie. Like you're in this kind of a jungle. It's nighttime. And you know for a fact that there are Japanese soldiers out there and they're watching you. You know it. You can't see them. You can't hear them. You know they're there because oftentimes what would happen is a patrol would find them and, and they'd be shooting and they were there, but you didn't know, but you knew you were being watched and potentially could be shot. And it was very eerie stuff. But I got to go to one of his reunions because it was here in Vegas. So he and a bunch of people. And like I was such a World War II fanatic when I was a kid. I was super interested in it, watched movies, read books. And just being in a room full of guys who were there was like freaking incredible for me. I just sat there and listened to them swap stories. And it was like, I don't even remember most of them now, but I remember at the time I was like so amazed by that stuff to see the people who really did it. And it's what's crazy too is like you watch old movies, right? And the heroes in war movies, they look like Errol Flynn, and guys like that. And then when you actually look at people who won like, major, like the Medal of Honor and things like that, they just look so normal. I mean, Audie Murphy became a movie, star to an extent, but he didn't look like a movie star in a lot of ways. Regular people are who has done all the incredible things in war, invented everything that's of value, written just about everything of value, right? Just normal looking people. But in movies, they're always the handsome types. So the handsome actor types have done very little for humanity over the centuries. But still, in our heads, that's who we picture as the heroes and stuff, even though not really. It's just normal guys for the most part. If you've ever read about what Audie Murphy did, like, dude, you put that accurately, and they did, of course, put that accurately in a movie, and people would be like, well, that's unrealistic. That wouldn't happen. That doesn't happen. That's fake stuff. It was real, dude. It's amazing stuff. Ramey says, my grandpa had a lot of German souvenirs he acquired. Yeah. With an M1 rifle. Cool. Manowar says, it's easy for me to say. I'm not sure what I said, but it probably was a hell of a lot easier for me to say than for somebody to have to do. Fins is about to crack the slabs. He's got some really cool books that he just got. He likes to crack open all the slabs because books are meant to breathe and to live. One of them was pirates. One of them was like a creepy, eerie. It was a horror book. It was with Man of War. This is Remember the Monks in the Holy Grail. Oh yeah, absolutely. All right. So everybody's chatting. Karenina, great uncle. Oh, lost my great uncle in the Pacific. Well, yeah, we lost a lot of people. And Liberty. Hey, Liberty, how's it going? It isn't Jim Stater. I get that a lot. It's John is my first name, but my name's John Matthew. So JM. And a lot of people see the JM and they think it's Jim. And in fact, it's not, but welcome just the same. Well, let's actually click in with something that I planned because I do got a few things to chat about. Oops, not spoilers though. The wrong button. Not that either. Where am I? Oh, okay. My slideshow got moved in the order of on my little OBS system here. That's funny. Okay. All right, what do we got? First up, I do want to say rest in peace to Dolores Munoz. Now, you probably don't know who this is, and I didn't know who this was, but she just passed away at the age of 107. Longest lived voice actress, maybe in the world, but she was specifically worked in Mexico, did the voice of, in Spanish language, did the voice of Chip and Dale, the sorceress on He-Man, among others. So 107 years old. That's really, really amazing. Oh, Tales from the Crypt, Finn said that was his other book. Yeah. Such good stuff. So, Godspeed to Dolores. I actually have seen Spanish language Masters of the Universe. I used to flip around channels and I'd sometimes go past, I don't know if it was Telemundo or one of those, and it'd be like He-Man or sometimes the Batman, 66 Batman. And I'd be like, I'll watch that. Why not? Even though I can't understand what anybody's saying, it's like, you basically know. That's something you get. If you watch foreign language films without subtitles, unless it's like really, really, really dialogue heavy and like a deep drama or something, you can basically understand what's going on in that movie. Not understanding a word anybody's saying. It's a visual medium. It's not that tricky. I watched one of the Santo movies, I think, where he was fighting like Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, etc. I got this like digital copy of it and I put it on and I'm like, oh, there's no subtitles. What the hell? I was working on stuff in my office. So I'm like, well, just do it. And surprisingly enough, it was not real hard to understand what was going on in that movie with a pro wrestler fighting monsters. Obviously, some films are going to be more complex than that, but that one worked. Spanish Dracula. I've heard a lot about Spanish Dracula. I've never actually watched it. It is Santos. Okay, Ramey's helped me out there. Dracula was on Svengoolie last night, and I did watch that while I was doing a lot of this prep. So speaking of streaming, cool thing just popped out. Tubi, free streaming service, I watch a lot of it, is about to pick up a massive number of cartoons. Pretty much looks like a deal with Warner Brothers. Most of them starting March 1st, although I think, what's starting today? Speed Buggy, I think, is starting today. So here, and this is a partial list. There's a lot of stuff on there too for folks younger than me that they watched, but I'm focusing on stuff that I kind of dug or watched with my daughter. Animaniacs, Aquaman, Adam Ant, which was one of my first favorite superheroes, along with Underdog when I was a little kid. Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is a great Batman cartoon. Captain Caveman, also Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels. Dukes of Hazzard, I have not seen that in a long time. The Great Grape Ape, Hong Kong Phooey, Johnny Quest, Powerpuff Girls, Static Shock, Super Friends, Teen Titans, Plastic Man Comedy Adventure Show, which I did a review of. And I'm kind of hyped because I get to see some of those, probably better restored. Tiny Toon Adventures, Wacky Races, and a few things I've never seen before. Abbott Costello, the 1974 Addams Family cartoon, Dragon's Lair, which I just never ended up watching when I was a kid. And the best one of all for me, great old cartoon, has never gotten a release on DVD, Quick Draw McGraw. So March 1st, a ton of great cartoons are going to be on Tubi. If you ever wanted to recreate like Saturday morning cartoons for yourself or for, your kids or whatever, you pretty much will be able to do that right now with a lot of great stuff. So my guess is Warner Brothers is doing some licensing deals to sort of make themselves look better as they sell themselves to Netflix or maybe Paramount will sneak in there after all. But they were probably looking at what are some licensing deals we could do to have income flow so that our, baseline numbers look stronger. But either way, man, it's awesome. El Kabong. Yes. Oh yeah, and dude, I love Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels. Yeah. And Animaniacs, dude, a lot of great stuff. A lot of great stuff. So I'm super, super stoked about all that. Also saw that Fathom Events is going to have a lot of cool re-releases of films this year. Again, a few of them stuff that I'm not really like the George Clooney Ocean's 11. I saw Ocean's 11. I thought, oh yeah, it was okay. I kind of like that movie from the 60s. And I looked, I'm like, oh, it's the Clooney one. I don't really care about that. But a lot of people loved it. So that's coming back. Citizen Kane, Silence of the Lambs, Gone with the Wind, It's a Wonderful Life. That'll be in December. Ben-Hur, which I've never seen on a big screen, and I'm pretty tempted on that one because it is a big screen film. The Fifth Element, Maltese Falcon. Maltese Falcon I might go watch as well. I've never seen that on a big screen. That is a great flick. So, Deputy Dog. Yeah, Deputy Dog. I don't think that's owned part of the Warner Brothers stuff. Raimi, shit. What is it? It's not Harvey, right? Because Deputy Dog is the same as Mighty Mouse and stuff. Because Deputy Dog, I know, showed up in one of the Ralph Bakshi Mighty Mouses. God, I can't think about, like, my brain is not working on who. Maybe it is Harvey. Any rate, yeah, I don't think they're owned by Warner Brothers, but I'm surprised some of that stuff. Well, like the Mighty Heroes is on Tubi, but it's like a terrible copy. And it's not even done as like episodes. It's all the episodes strung up into one long thing. So you pretty much watch something, you hit stop and you come back later and it'll save your space, but they're not done like episodes. So yeah, it'd be great to get more of that stuff out there as well. What do we see? Incredible films from Raimi says, oh, you have to, and I have seen Ben-Hur. I've watched it on videotape way back when, but never on a big screen. Yeah, Ben-Hur. Yeah, so Ben-Hur, I want to say, is in April. And that's maybe to coincide with Easter. Because obviously the book is Ben-Hur, A Tale of the Christ, which I've been reading, and I got to be honest, I was having trouble getting through it. It was not holding my attention that well. But at any rate, so those are coming out over the course of this year. If you go to like Fathom Events, you could see the schedule when everything's coming out. And there's other movies as well. Fried Green Tomatoes was one of them. I figured I probably didn't have a big, overlap in Fried Green Tomatoes, with my audience. But at any rate, so Susha's saying the novel's way better. I need to stick with it then. Like it wasn't bad or anything, but it wasn't like, it wasn't sucking me in at this point, and I'm maybe 3 chapters in, but I haven't even gotten quite to the point where it's the Ben-Hur that we think of from like the movie. It's the preliminary stuff, but at any rate, yeah, I need to stick with it for sure. I also saw, this is from the Hollywood Reporter. Oh, no, I had one more. Not that yet. Well, I'll talk about that. I'll start with that anyways. Did I get them out of order? I might have gotten them out of order. My little slides. Variety reports. Steven Spielberg is connected to a Black Hawk movie project. Black Hawk, obviously, World War II comic, era comic. The Black Hawks were pilots from different nations, uniting as this sort of independent fighter squadron to go after the Germans, and it persisted long after. So he's involved with that. Screenplay is written by David, I guess it's pronounced Cope, who collaborated with Spielberg on Jurassic Park. Okay. But also on the 4th Indiana Jones movie that I pretend doesn't exist. Although I know some of the influence there was from Lucas that people didn't like. But I mean, if it was the 80s, I would be completely stoked about him doing a like World War II era fighter pilots Black Hawk movie. But it's 2020 Spielberg, and I have not been interested in anything he's done for years. So I don't know, but it could be good. God knows, like the abilities there. Now, I don't know that this has gone, how far this has gone in terms of being greenlit, whatever. This would be the first DC superhero he's ever worked on in a movie. And I mean, it, like, you know, guy who helped give us Indiana Jones. So, like, he should be really great for something like this. But we'll see. We'll see if it ever happens. Everyone worth their salt knows they stopped at 3. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. That was one of those movies where a good buddy of mine, who's jumped in the chat once in a while, he found out I wasn't going to go see it. And that's because I'd gotten already burned on, like, relaunches, reboots, re-whatevers. I'm like, I'm not doing any more of those. The Star Wars prequels were the end for me. I'm done. I'm just done. So here comes, it's a new Indiana Jones movie. I'm like, nope, not going to it. Not going to it. I don't care. Even if people tell me it's good, I don't care. I'm done with stuff coming 20 years after the original stuff. I'm just not doing it. But he couldn't believe it. You're not going to go. You're not going to go. It's Spielberg. Dude, it's Spielberg. It's going to be, and Luke, they're all involved. It's going to be great. Harrison Ford. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And like, I don't know. A few weeks later, I talk with him. He's like, yeah, that was a pretty good call, dude. I go, yeah, see, you can't go home again. The Spielberg and Lucas who made Indiana Jones movies, they don't exist anymore. This is 20 something, maybe more than that, years later. They're different people. They're entirely different people. You can't trust that it's good, but we'll see, man. It could be awesome. It could be awesome. Oh, Liberty says, got to go. Have a great time. Thank you, Liberty, for stopping in. I really do appreciate that. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. All right, let's see what my next slide is. If I've completely, I have. I lost a slide somewhere in there. Okay. Paramount, according to the Hollywood Reporter, is planning to open at least 3 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themed pizza joints in the USA. At least 3. You got to figure we're probably talking New York, LA, Chicago, but maybe they'll do other ones. I mean, in Vegas, the Strip could be a good place for something like that. So maybe there will be one in my town. Maybe if you're in a big enough town or near one. So kind of a cool concept, though. I mean, they're pushing a lot of stuff with movies and toys and everything else and trying to keep it relevant. And, you know, if you think about the great themed pizza places from like the 80s and stuff. I mean, you still got stuff like Dave and Buster's today, right? So that's kind of kept along. It's a little different than Chuck E. Cheese, but, similar. But something like that could be really, really cool. We'll see what they do with it. Maybe they spend the money, and if they got some really good creative people involved, that could be pretty fun. It could be, could be a cool place to go check out. If they kind of go cheap on it, people might just go, it wasn't much. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. Indiana Jones and Search for His Pension Check. Yeah, pretty much. Remember in the Weird Al song, Yoda, when he talks about like Luke Skywalker, I don't remember how the line goes exactly, but talking about being like in the 10th Star Wars movie, and he can't defeat Darth Vader because then, he won't get paid to make any more movies or something like that. Which back in the 80s, like, well, there's only 3 Star Wars movies. They're not going to make sequels forever. It's not like they're going to make an 8th or a 9th Star Wars movie. That's ridiculous. It's not like Mark Hamill's going to be playing Luke Skywalker like 40 years later. That's insane. Wow, Weird Al got that one right. And he was sort of taking a paycheck to do it too. Finn says, I know this is extremely delayed, but for a while I also thought it was Jim. Yeah, I get that a lot. Maybe that works to my advantage. It's like an alias. Nobody knows who I actually am. Maybe my first name is actually, Jeremiah. Who knows? Who knows? John, alias Jim, alias, etc. All right, so I really don't have any new acquisitions this week in the den. I got a few things heading this way, and I have made a couple pre-orders, and that's what we're going to take a look at now, because there's a lot of cool stuff getting floated around right now, because it is Toy Fair time. So there's some stuff from that. But there's also just, I think we're far enough away from the holiday season that people have maybe paid down their debt a little bit, or they've forgotten about it. So they're ready to start pumping out new collectibles, etc. Now, a few things I'm going to talk about, I don't have images for. I've only seen, if you like follow, there's a Twitter account called Toy Arc, which is pretty good with this kind of stuff. Preternia is pretty good with this stuff. They'll show some photographs from Toy Fair. Obviously, I'm not taking their photography and using it on my channel because that's not right. And I don't want to go through the trouble of getting permission. You can go find some of the images of these things, but there's a few things I'll tell you. I don't have pictures, but here's what's coming. But let's start with some stuff I do have photos for, because this actually is stuff that launched this week. Hasbro, they did a live stream earlier this week showing off coming Marvel Legends figures, which went up for sale or pre-order. I want to say Wednesday or Thursday. I think they're still out there and available for pre-order. I don't know that anything's sold out yet. You can look, I think, well, Hasbro Pulse for sure. Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. I think Amazon. I grabbed it on Amazon. So, first up, the Falcon, the classic look of Falcon. Yes, he's got red wing. Yes, he's got the wings. There's change outs on the wings. This is the one I pre-ordered. I actually just got a Captain America Marvel Legends about a couple weeks ago. Obviously not new. I just got it off eBay, so it'd be cool. I'll have Falcon, I'll have Captain America. Well, Falcon's always been one of my favorite characters. I love that costume and that look. So that's one of them. Very cool retro. And this is from their Secret Wars line, so he'll have the lenticular shield, which I don't particularly need, but very cool. We also get Constrictor. Very cool look on this one. Those sort of whips are meant to look like they're energized. That's why you can see the color changes a little from by his fists out to the tip of those things. Just the tip. And the tentacle things, whips, tentacles, whatever we're going to call them, are removable. I guess that character was last put out in 2012. So they're getting, they've been doing this for a long time, because I think this kind of flowed from Toy Biz right into them. So we are seeing some characters get kind of redone. We got Absorbing Man. He has face change outs, some with eyebrows, some without eyebrows, because apparently he's been drawn both ways in the comics. So they said, let's go for it. Let's do that. We got Magic in her New Mutants look. Very cool look. I love the New Mutants costumes that they used to have. I think they really worked. We got, interesting one, Spidey first meeting the symbiote. So he's sort of a quarter of the way being covered by the symbiote black spider suit. That one's a little inside baseball for me, but for some folks who are huge Spider-Man fans, probably will dig it. This is a big one. Classic Daredevil, a very good looking figure. It has the echolocation effect. It's like a big thing you can stick on the back of the head. So it's that translucent plastic looking like he's sending out the echolocation. Super articulated body. You got all the stuff you would expect from that one. So it was February 11th that this stuff went up for pre-order. So 4 days ago. I'm pretty sure it's all still out there if any of this appeals to you. Oh yeah, I love when Absorbing Man. Yeah, it's too bad there's not a way for them to do, other than selling completely different figures, but an Absorbing Man when he's like, stone, or when he's iron or whatever. It's a repaint, but for people, you'd have to buy a full new figure, and they're not badly priced, but they're not super, super cheap. And he'll go good with Thor, which, by the way, so these are some that they got out now. Yes, well, they could do modular swap out parts for sure. They could. So it's like maybe his arm is changing. You could do that without it being too expensive. So they have some 2-packs as well. First up, Muse and Bullseye. Good pairing with the Daredevil figure. Those are going up pre-order on March 4th, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And they're going to be a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. So you have to get it on that site, which I've done before, and it's one of the better sites to order from, I've found. There's going to be Quicksilver and Black Widow from the Avengers Crossing storyline, which I have no idea about that one. That's kind of after my time. They also mentioned a Target exclusive Emma Frost, which will be up for pre-order March 3rd. No picture on that. Target is also getting Onslaught, an oversized figure. No pre-order date yet for that one. It's got the Magneto helmet, etc. We got Archangel, inspired by the X-Men 97 cartoon. This is going to be a fan channel exclusive one. Pre-orders up March 25th. So you got a little more than a month away. There are wing change-outs, so some look like they're folded in, some are fully out. Pretty cool. I actually just been reading some of the old X-Factor comics where he first shows up. And then they're putting out Thor in his modern costume, which I honestly don't like, but it's in their Maximum line. It comes with a new bendy wire fabric cape. So they are finally starting to go into that. And I hope they make some. I'd love it if they just make some capes you can swap out with some older figures. Because like I got that Phantom Rider. I got a couple others where I'm going, oh, that Dr. Doom too. You're going, you can't do anything with the figures pretty much other than have them standing up because the cape is solid and it won't move. You can't do a lot with them. I'd love more of those. But they are going to have that. Lots of bits and bobs in this one, including Thunder Frog. Yeah, they're going to have that as a little character that goes with them. Pre-order for him is up February 25th. So about 10 days from now, 1 p.m. Eastern time on Amazon.com. So if you're into Thor, a 3D printer, yeah, that would be a way to go. I was hoping I could find somebody out there because I found people who make capes for the old Secret Wars figures, right? Because the characters with capes in Secret Wars didn't have capes. So you can get a cape for Dr. Doom, etc. Replacement capes for the old Superpowers figures. So I'm like, all right, well, somebody probably it's just a piece of fabric. I don't even need a wire necessarily. Piece of fabric that will go on to the characters. Those are out there, right? I have not been able to find them. So I don't know. Maybe they're out there, and I'm just not finding them. Maybe not. A Thor head and a Colossus. Yeah, I didn't like the armor because of the pattern. It looked like a quilt. It looked like a metal quilt. If it had been like scale looking armor, which is what Simonson did when Thor had the full sort of plate mail sort of armor for a while, that I thought was cool. If it was more chainmail, but I did not like the look of it at all. I still don't, but some people do. And it's going to come out, and it's the Maximum line, so it's probably not going to be cheap, I would imagine. Moving away from Hasbro, NECA has a new series of Batman figures. The Batman figures from the 89 movie. Penguin and Catwoman, obviously, from the Batman Returns film. They are not up yet for pre-order. Well, I may have seen something today on Twitter that they are now. When I wrote this a day ago, they weren't. 8-inch figures, mixed media. So you do have a wired cape for Batman and a wired coat for Penguin. Alternate battle damage head for Catwoman. That's what's in the photo. So you can also get it without her hair, kind of coming out of the mask. $45 a pop. Get them at Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store. I got the McFarlane Catwoman, which I think was freaking amazing. One of the best figures of last year, just based on the face sculpt of Michelle Pfeiffer alone. So I don't really have a need for these, but very cool looking. I think they did a good job with them from the images that I've seen. They also have a bunch more of the Ben Cooper costume kids on the way. They're adding Kirk, Spock, a Klingon, Captain Action, and Dr. Evil, and Mars Attacks to the line. Those apparently are dropping today. So if you're into those, it's a cute concept. I have not bought any of them because the pricing's just tough. There's other stuff I'd rather have, but very, very cool concept of those kids in costumes. So those are coming out today, and I don't have a photo for it. But NEC is also revealed at Toy Fair. They're doing some McDonaldland figures. So a couple of the McDonaldland figures are actually going to be like this. The kids wearing a Hamburglar costume and a birdie costume. All right, whatever. There's also going to be a 7-inch tall Ultimates Grimace. Now, I don't know how you make Grimace an ultimate figure. There's not a lot of movement. And he didn't have a lot of gear. But I love Grimace. I don't know why, but Grimace is like my dude since I was a kid. And I don't have one of those vintage Grimace figures. I've gotten close a few times and never pulled the trigger on it. So I'm like going, depending on what they're charging for Ultimate Grimace, I might be getting that one. No pre-order dates yet on any of that kind of stuff. And they also showed off at Toy Fair. You can find photos online. Some classic DuckTales figures. Scrooge, the nephews, Launchpad McQuack, and Gizmo Duck. And they looked really good. They did a really nice job. So if you're a big DuckTales fan, that's a great series, by the way. They did so good with that. Keep your eyes open for those. Again, I don't think there's any pre-order dates yet that have been announced or pricing or what have you, but it'll probably roll with the pricing you'd expect. Manowar said, had to get the copper Batman, got a photo of myself in exact cost. Oh, yeah, that's cool. I had the Batman costume as well. Oh, you said copper. Cooper, yeah. I had that one as well, and I was very tempted to get that one. I remember I had a Batman costume. I had an Underdog costume. Actually, I showed those on an old video I did of some Ben Cooper stuff that I had that survived childhood. I want to say there was something else too that I had that I wanted to get, but the Batman one, I was so close and I ended up not doing it. But yeah, that good memories, really good memories of that stuff. Factory Entertainment now has the pre-orders up for their 3 3/4 inch Battlestar Galactica figures. Wave 1 of the figures, Starbuck, Apollo, Boomer, 2 Cylons, including weapons. The humans have the helmets, they're removable. They also have a Viper. Cockpit opens and does fit the figures. Removable landing gear, display stand, electronic features, including a light-up cockpit, turbo boost, I'm assuming sound effect, maybe some lights too, the launch sequence effect, laser cannon effects. Very cool stuff. Do I have that one? Yeah, there's the Viper. You can get the full set of action figures for $150. So about $30 a figure. It's a little steep for that size. They are cool looking. They did a nice job. $220 for the Viper. And again, that's a really nice job. Little bit outside. Now, and so Lady Wendolyn says she wants Starbuck. We'll talk about that later. But me too. I was like, oh, well, I'll grab one of these maybe, because it'll go with the Star Wars figures. It'd be kind of fun. I don't see where you could buy them individually. That might come in the future. I don't know. Right now, you got to buy the set. It's $150. And Lady Wendolyn is aware of some of the stuff I bought lately, so I'm not doing that. Getting a lot of trouble. Yeah, man, can't these damn people stay the hell out of my wallet? I know. But wait, there's more. But so that's you got to go to Factory Entertainment's website to get that. They're set to ship in the 4th quarter of this year. Very cool stuff. I think I talked about them in an earlier stream. Maybe didn't even have a photo, but it was like some reveal, but like didn't say how much money they were going to be. I was like praying they weren't going to be that bad, and I mean, $30 for an action figure is not insane at this point, but 3 3/4. But I mean, if you're looking at Super 7 now, they're at the $25 point for a lot of these. So it's kind of where things are going. Cheap stuff from China is not as cheap as it used to be. Trick or Treat Studios, and I talked about them maybe a live stream or two ago. They got a lot of cool stuff coming. But they have the RoboCop pre-orders up. So you got RoboCop and Clarence Boddicker, 6 3/4 inch figures, $30 a pop. So same price as those ones that are about half the size. Plus they also have, there's Clarence Boddicker. Okay. They do now have Major Scott McCoy from Delta Force, 6 3/4 inch, up for $20. I'm real tempted on him. I got to be honest. Friggin' love Delta Force. I remember going to see that movie in the theater. I had no complaints about Delta Force. They also have, and I don't have images for some of these. There are images, but I didn't want to have 400 images in. 7-inch Crow figure, 8-inch Leprechaun, 8-inch Maniac Cop, 8-inch Terrifier, a giant-size Michael Myers, and some 5-inch scale Army of Darkness and Day of the Dead. So if you go to their website, you will find all sorts of cool stuff at Trick or Treat Studios. And also, speaking of RoboCop, JFS Toys, which I'm thinking maybe is from the UK, because I saw the pricing in pounds, has some 2-packs available for pre-order. These are 110 scale, so 7-inch figures. One of RoboCop and Officer Ann Lewis, and the other one, battle-damaged RoboCop and Emil after his unfortunate accident. These are scheduled for delivery in February of 2027. They are priced at, it's at 100 pounds or $120 each. So a bit more expensive than Trick or Treat Studios. But seriously, Trick or Treat Studios also has masks and all sorts of cool stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff there, especially if you like horror, but it does move out of horror into sci-fi. You might want to check that out. I know. Dude, there were so many images. I was like, be doing this all day. Oh, no, Muffet. Wave 2 will probably have Adama, dude, what was his name? Colonel Ty. Muffet will get in there somewhere. Boxy. They got to get Sheba in there. They don't have any of the women at this point. So I think they got future waves coming if these sell well. But little bit expensive. A little bit expensive on those. But we'll see. Ramey says, I had a Face 18 figure used to pretend he was Starbuck. Yeah. Starbuck in his street clothes. Why not? Dude, I love Battlestar Galactica so much. That's one I go back to over and over and over again. Super 7 has Wave 3 of the Micronauts up for pre-lease. So I talked about this last week. Now it's official. $25 a pop. Yes, I pre-ordered them. You got the Emperor, and you got 2 time travelers in different colors. Very cool. I'm enjoying this line. It's nice to see that it's still rolling. So those are up for pre-order right now. At Entertainment Earth. Couldn't find them anywhere else. I don't know if even including Super 7. So they seem like they're exclusive there at the moment, but I don't know if that's going to expand. You can look around. Also, coming this year, their G.I. Joe comic collector series. First up, Cobra Commander. You see the paint, though, is meant to look more like the comic books. Comes with a comic book, it says, inspired by G.I. Joe Skybound comic number 1. So I don't know if they mean like it's going to be a reproduction of that actual G.I. Joe number 1 that Marvel initially put out, but maybe that's owned now by Sky. I don't know. But they're going to have a comic book with it in some form. So they're still pumping the G.I. Joe line. They also have coming out Dana from the October Guard, Chuckles, Flash. I could be tempted on Flash, and Hydro Viper. I think these are the O-rings. That's coming later this year. I have not seen anything in terms of pre-order dates, assuming $25 a pop. And I will say, Ramey, that it is based on the Chuckles from the like Sunbeam TV series, TV cartoons, more so than the original figure. That's what they've been doing, sort of doing G.I. Joes based on the cartoons rather than based solely on the original figures, although the Flash looks... And I'm trying to think, was Flash in the cartoon at some point? He might have been in that one episode where the Joes go to the world where Cobra has taken over, And then they decided to stay there and fight Cobra in that world. It's how they basically got rid of some of the original Joes like Grunt. That was also the one where Baroness has her own Cobra soldiers who are all women who are basically wearing G-strings. And I'm like literally going, did they mispaint these? Did they okay, maybe they did. Maybe they did. It's like, wow. Got to put that in the movie someday. That just might sell. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it is going to be based definitely on the cartoons. Man of War asks, has Super 7 gotten a handle on its financial woes? I know they did get an infusion of cash. They borrowed money. Or it was an investment. Either way. They are closing down their physical stores. I think they had 1 or 2 of them left. So they're trying to, but they're announcing stuff. So, I mean, they just had the Tiger Sharks, like Ultimate. So they're still announcing things. Hopefully I'll get my Micronauts figures. Praying I do. But any rate, this also popped up. Find myself on my thing here. Oh, yeah. So this is also Hasbro. They're putting out a 6-pack of Kenner retro figures on the way. I'm not too into like a lot of the modern Star Wars, but I do like the old stuff to an extent. This is going to include Captain Wedge Antilles and Wedge in his flying suit. So that's kind of cool. I like Wedge. CZ3, Garandon, R4M9, and Princess Leia in her ceremonial gown, where they screwed Chewbacca out of a medal. Still a little salty about that. But that is going to be a 6-pack that's coming. I don't know. I don't think I have a date on that one yet. But so they're still pumping out some retro figures from Hasbro. We're not done yet, but maybe we should be on this one. I already tormented my wife with this because she's a Christmas fan. Mezco is putting out this unrelenting horror of a Clark Griswold plush that should effectively keep Santa Claus far away from your Christmas tree. Oh my Lord, that face. But that is coming out at some point this year. I gotta be honest though, if they made a Randy Quaid Cousin Eddie that looked just as bad as that, I would probably want to buy it, because making Uncle Cousin Eddie look worse would actually be better in a weird way. Like it would lean into how insane he is. So, but yeah, that's scary. Doesn't it look like it should be a ventriloquist dummy? And God, I wish they would make that into a ventriloquist dummy. That would be amazing. Actually, a Cousin Eddie ventriloquist dummy would be even better. Let's be honest. Cousin Eddie's, he's better than Clark, but that's just my opinion. But so that I had to share that, because you're just like going, what the hell? Is Chevy Chase getting paid for this? I hope so. McFarlane is announcing more Superpowers figures are on the way in summer of 2026. No details yet. I have seen images that I wasn't sure what it was supposed to be, but some of the stuff they're touting for this year, there was a gangbuster in there. There was Vigilante, but I wasn't sure. Were these the big figures or these Superpowers? We will see. But they are still doing this, which I've enjoyed the Superpowers figures. Although the last crop, I wanted to get that Nightwing, and it was like sold out instantly. You could find them on eBay for a lot of money, and I'm like, I think I'm just out of that one. I wanted Deadman too. Sold out instantly. So I don't know if they're going to be putting them out in larger numbers here in the future so we can actually buy the damn things, but we will see. But they are going to be announcing some summer 2026. So if that's a line you've been following. Mondo has a new X-Men 97 figure up for pre-order on February 17th, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Beast. This is restricted to 1,500 units. So if you want it, you better not wait. It is only going to be sold on mondoshop.com. And here is what will stop a lot of people from worrying about it. It is $255. Wow. Superpowers. You would think they would do that, right, Raimi? Superpowers Professor Zoom. Because to some degree, it's just a repaint. I mean, it's not entirely, but you could reuse a lot of the Flash figure to make Zoom. Yeah, that seems like it'd be an easy one to do. But we'll see. But it is, it's a cool beast. And there is a, do I have that image? Yes, I do. There's a lot of stuff that comes with him, a lot of stuff that comes with him, but $255, you got to really be into X-Men 97 to go for that one. But Mondo is more expensive. For example, a very cool soft vinyl figure of Dr. Doom. Now, they got a few of these, but this is done to look like the blacklight posters of the 1970s. And I saw that, and I'm like, oh my God, that's really rad. And it's soft vinyl, so that's going to be affordable. I'd put that on my desk. That's $185. So my desk will not have a blacklight Dr. Doom on it. I don't know, man. I could probably go buy a damn blacklight poster for less than that at this point. But it is limited edition. But again, with $185, it seems a little steep for me. But we'll see. We won't see that. I'm not buying it. But folks out there will probably get it. So a little expensive. On February 17th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Frazetta Girls is launching pre-orders for the first official 1/12 scale Icon Collectibles John Carter of Mars action figure, a premium release. It is going to include Woola, so that's very cool. Probably going to be $70, based on the fact that that's the price point for all the Icon Collectibles ones, including another one that has the Jaguar with it. I can't think of her name now from Fire and Ice. But so again, $70, a little expensive, but they are some cool figures. I will say that. And I think Man of War, is that the Conan one you bought, dude? I think you bought that one. Cool stuff. I see a real doctor to do the Yeah, I don't know if I want a proctology exam from Dr. Doom. He can shoot lasers out of those fingers. He flinches and it's going to all go wrong. But at any rate, the John Carter, very, very cool. I didn't have another image for that, but that's coming up really soon, February 17th. Go to their website, Frazetta Girls. There's a lot of cool stuff there. You can find out more about that. A little bit of comic book news. That's all the toys. A lot of toys. No, there's one more toy. You'll see. Rippaverse has another one on the way. It actually is up for pre-order now. Yaira, Frost, and Ruin. Now, the Yaira stuff's been written by the Saska sisters, with Deborah Carita doing the art, but they're changing up the teams now. So that's something they're working on, which I think is a good idea. Good to get different people doing different things. This is going to be written by Eric July and Carol Brown and drawn by Will Conrad, slated for a June release. I think it's a cool way to go. One of the things that I think made the Marvel Universe and DC Universe great is different artists and writers working on different characters. You don't necessarily want them to go in and completely change everything, but it's cool to get different ideas, different perspectives. People talk about, manga, it's the same artist and writer who does everything. Great. Did you want Batman to only be written by Bill Finger and drawn by Bob Kane? When they were done, that was the end of Batman? No, I'm pretty happy other people moved in and wrote and drew that stuff, because we've gotten a lot of cool incarnations of Batman over the years, and some that maybe weren't as cool. But so they're doing that. So I did. He is giving conservative artists a job, that's for sure, or at least a job that. Ollie's, yeah. Yeah, if you find that Doom at Ollie's, definitely pick it up for me. I'm happy to pay for it, pay for the shipping. I do want one of those. It's not for $185, but I did pre-order this one because I think it looks pretty cool. Some cool covers for it too. And they've also announced a new non-Rippaverse title. So this is Rip Ascend by Chuck Dixon and Bob C. Harden, called Seven Sinners, coming in May for 18 and older. So not a lot on this one yet. Obviously, biker gang. I think I have heard Chuck Dixon talk about it a little bit in his videos and podcasts that he does. So you could probably watch some of those. You might pick up some stuff on it. But that is coming in May. So cool. I'm glad to see him building something. The Man with No Strings, a weird Western fantasy series launched on the ZAID comic site. Issue number 1 is a 36-page black and white comic written by Philip Diaz, drawn by Oliver Isabedra. $15. So, it's indie. So they're going to be a little more expensive. So not too bad. It says, the description, you thought you knew the tale, but have you heard the ending? Once he was just a boy who wished to be real until his father was taken from him. Now he must ride the road of revenge in order to get him back. Man with No Strings. Okay. This is a weird Western involving Pinocchio. Don't know how that'll go, but I thought the cover was cool, and I liked, I think I saw a sample of the interior art that I thought was pretty good too. Yeah, fins, it sounds like it's, who knows, man, that might be very, very cool. Might want to give that one a try. $15 isn't too bad. For an indie comic, 36 pages, it's going to be more than you're going to pay for Marvel and DC, but again, it's mass publication. But you can find that on Zaid's comic site now. It has been launched. You can back it. Also, The Box, a 64-page graphic novel by Dwight L. McPherson. All right. $15 for a digital download, $30 for signed softcover, $40 for signed hardcover, estimated to deliver June 2026. The concept is high above the clouds, in a fortress carved into the frozen peaks of the French Alps, 3 legends collide: Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, the Wolf Man, and essentially they're battling over a mysterious box said to contain great power. So basically a monster mash, a big monster fight. Could be cool. I like the cover. Interior art looked pretty good too. So another, Mad Monster Party, probably with more violence, basically. But probably not with Francesca. That is going to be a problem. But at any rate, The Box you can check out now on was that Kickstarter? I think it's Kickstarter. I know, I did a bad thing. Mike Barron on Twitter was talking about it. He responded to a thing. Maybe if you go look for Mike Barron, you can probably find it. Also wanted to show an image from a future project from Dave Brink's Genuine Comics. Safeguard versus Pandemonium. I know it's not big enough that you could really get the right. You know what? Let's see. I'm going to regret this. Let's see if I can zoom it in a little bit, because then I'm going to have to make this box normal sized again. There you get an idea. He does some really great superhero stuff. Love it, love it, love it. Perfect 10, for example, which I've reviewed on this site. Perfect 10 number 6 is coming pretty soon. So anyway, just wanted to show that off. Now that's coming in the future. Oh, Man of War. See you, sir. God bless. Hope to see you again soon. But very, very cool. Coming from now. So there's no announcements yet when this is coming out exactly, but the art is from Alan Goldman and Thiago Gomez. So you might want to be on the lookout for that if you like superhero stuff and, super muscular dudes and super hot babes. That is kind of what Genuine does. So final bit here. So I got the alert that the Kolchak comic that I pre-ordered is heading my way soon. Very cool. They also announced they have partnered with Wandering Planet Toys to release the first officially licensed Kolchak figures. 1/12 scale, so 6-inch, 22 points of articulation, interchangeable heads, hands. Also comes with a typewriter, camera, tape recorder, and crucifix. Launching soon on Kickstarter. So if you are a big fan of Kolchak, God, I love Kolchak. Such a great show. Keep your eyes open for this. Can't wait to get the comic. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's Kolchak versus some of the classic monsters. But they are working on this. I'm not sure when it's going to launch. I will let you know because I'm sure they're going to let me know since I bought the book. So there we go. That's it for the coming attractions, but a lot of really cool stuff coming out soon. I will finish on my favorite thing I saw on the internet this week, which is this image of Charles Schulz. Got his name wrong. How did I do that? Charles Schulz posing in 1962 with some of the Hungerford vinyl figures, which I happen to have a bunch of, and that's what caught my eye. It was just kind of cool seeing him with those figures. Let me grab a few. Here is Linus. Yes, I bought a handkerchief to replace the blanket because the blanket was gone. Here is Lucy. Here is good old Snoopy, the old style with the big nose. The longer nose, put it that way. And the actual one that I've had since I was a little kid and turns out to be kind of valuable. Schroeder with his piano. I do not have Pigpen and I do not have Sally. I would love to add them to the collection and round it out. But they are expensive. I was amazed. Like I told the story before that I've had the Linus and that Schroeder since I was little, before I even had a memory. Used to play with them like in the bathtub and stuff because they were vinyl, you know. And so I've always kept them because I love the Peanuts. And I was on the Goodwill auction site and the Charlie Brown figure comes up. And I'm like, that kind of looks like those figures I have. It's called Hungerford. Hungerford was a plastics company. I actually know what they're called now. So I jump on eBay and start looking. I'm like, oh my God, there's other ones. These are just, I'd never thought about it before. So I ended up getting that Charlie Brown off of Goodwill, and then started searching for other ones. But the second wave was Schroeder, Pigpen, and Baby Sally. And there weren't as many of them. And the Schroeders are usually missing the piano if you find them. I just happen to have them. So I got lucky on that one. But yeah, I mean, you're talking like a couple $100 for the other ones each. And I'm like, So if I ever find those at a really nice low price, I will round out my collection. But I just thought it was really cool seeing them with those. Now I see also how big that Linus blanket's supposed to be. So I might need to maybe cut down that handkerchief. My daughter knows how to sew. She might be able to hem it for me. But anyhow, just thought that was kind of cool. Such great comics. Coming up this week in Dad's Den. On Monday, Mighty Thor Monday. We're looking at Thor, I believe, number 343. On Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a review, assuming I film it today, of German sci-fi series. Yeah, you heard me right. Raumpatrouille Orion. Actually, the name is much longer. That would basically be Space Patrol Orion, which is the name of the spaceship they use. 7-episode series. It's really, really good. It is really, really, really good. You'll see why. It's also, there's an interesting thing about it. We'll talk about that in the review on Wednesday. And on Friday, I'm going to be reviewing George MacDonald's Fantasties, a very old fantasy book, but it was an inspiration for a lot of the fantasy authors that we know well today and we love, Tolkien, etc. So I'm going to do a quick review on that book. That's coming up this week. Oh, I blanked out. Okay. I wonder if I blanked out in reality and just sat there and then my brain kicked back in. Sorry about that. Yeah, it does say, oh, that's funny though. It says, doesn't show me dropping any frames. So maybe that was just a YouTube thing. Either way. So Monday, Thor 343. Wednesday, Realm Patrol, Orion. Friday, Fantasties. Hope everybody has an awesome Sunday. Glad to see everybody in the chat there. Mr. Sushi Hut, Ramey Butler, Finns the Spook, Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast. And we had Liberty in there for a little while. And of course, Lady Wendelin keeping everything going. That is going to do it for me today. Well, I got a couple of videos to make, but other than that, that'll do it for the live stream today. God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. I will see you hopefully again soon in Dad's Den of pop culture. Bye-bye.